If you're my little man, would you slap me on the nuts tonight? Yeah. Anyway, speaking of getting slapped on the nuts, I want to talk about Halo for a second. I don't want to do an hour clip. Hope to God I don't do an hour clip. But, and again, excuse the fan blowing. I can't help it. It's hot. I don't care. Fuck you. Anyways, one of the problems that I had was the transition from 4 to 5. Because 4 ends in a certain way, and then 5 picks up, and it's completely night and day. Now, I understand that you're supposed to read a novel or some bullshit. The problem with doing that is it makes the story jarring and it's disjointed, because the games should go from point A to point B without question. There shouldn't be a pit stop in the middle. Now, example, you look at Halo 2 and Halo 3, yeah, there was, a graphic novel or something, or whatever it was, where he's on the ship that's above Earth, and it ends with him saying, I'm going to finish the fight. Okay, and then in Halo 3, you see him falling to Earth, like a falling star, which I really like the symbolism there. But whatever. And you kind of surmise that some shit went on as you see the ship explode that he was on. So you kind of get the fact that something happened. So even if you didn't read the graphic novel, it's okay. He's going to finish the fight, he's on the ship, and then it starts with Halo 3, the ship explodes, he falls to Earth. That was good. That worked out really well. Because if you want the rest of the story, look what happened in that sequence, you go and read the novel, or the graphic novel, or whatever it is. But Halo 4 to Halo 5 did not work out that way. Because seemingly, Cortana was dead. She sacrificed herself for Chief. And then Halo 5 picks up, and it's completely different. Now, if they had done it where it was completely different, but there was a reason for it, and they tell the story in Halo 5 of why it happened, okay, that you could do that. But if you didn't read the novel, the book, or whatever the hell it is, you have no idea what happened. Now, I have no idea what happened between 4 and 5. And to me, that's an issue. Now, don't get me wrong, I dig the fact that they're telling story that's canon elsewhere than the games. I don't have a problem with that. Like, for example, you take Rogue One. Now, my biggest beef with Rogue One, well, first off, it's a throwaway story, and with the exception of the first 5 minutes and then when Vader shows up, 2/3 of that movie are a complete throwaway. Okay. So you got a throwaway story, and 2/3 of that story is a throwaway story. Yeah, that's not good. But what I like about the fact is that, okay, it told that moment, which is cool. Now, if you're watching Star Wars, you don't have to watch Rogue One. I like that. But if you do, it's there. I like the option, I guess you could say. And I appreciate that. Now, again, I appreciate the fact that there's more story in a novel somewhere, but it's disjointed between 4 and 5, or if you look at Star Wars as the example, you could take out Rogue One and still have a jointed story. Jointed is not the right word, but you get what I mean. It's there. It flows, where Halo 5, 4 and 5 did not flow. Now, what I would have done, personally, was when they did Spartan Ops. Now, I personally like Spartan Ops. I thought the idea was very cool, where each week, or whatever it was, they'd come out with 5 new missions. And I did get a little obnoxious when they started taking old missions and running them backwards. That got a little obnoxious. Especially when the story just wasn't there. Because, I'll be honest with you, Spartan Palmer, nobody gives a fuck about. at all. Buck and all these other guys, nobody cares about them. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of Halo, is that with the exception of like Cortana, Johnson, and Master Chief, nobody gives a shit. Maybe Keys to a slight point in the early days, but nobody gives a shit. None. They did make us kind of care about the Arbiter slightly, where he's sort of become a main character. And I'm a little disappointed that Locke in Halo 5 wasn't done better to the point where we actually give a shit, because I don't give a shit. I don't think anybody else does either. It just didn't work out the way they put it together. It just they didn't make people give a damn about that character, especially when it's Halo, a main story. Halo, in what, 3 of the missions out of 15, I think, or whatever it was, you play as Master Chief, and the rest of the time you're playing as Locke. I don't play Halo to play Locke. I don't play Halo to play Spartan Palmer, or whatever the fuck her name is. I play to play Master Chief. I don't care about anybody else. Now, that's a good thing, and it's also sort of a bad thing. And I admit it does make it harder for them to make characters that we give a damn about. But that's kind of their job. And they kind of failed at that. I don't mean that mean or anything. It's just, do you care about any of those characters at all? The only character I care about, only because it's the dude who voices Cade from Destiny. That's the only reason I even acknowledge that guy. Buck, or whatever the fuck his name is. It's the only reason I acknowledge him, because of the voice actor. That's it. The rest of them were stupid. First off, the AI was ass dumb stupid to begin with. And I don't want to get into all that stuff, but now, again, what I would have done at the end of Halo 4, they started Spartan Ops. Now, personally, Spartan Ops was kind of a bust as far as story goes. They did pick it up later. They did make it where you actually started to give a shit a little bit toward the end, because chapters like 2 and 3, maybe even a little bit of 4, were just really Maybe there's 1 or 2 missions that were good, and the rest was just The concept was very cool. I liked the concept of Spartan Ops. I really did. But nobody cared. No one cared about any of those characters or any of the story. They were just doing it because it's new content and you want to play some more and there's nothing else to do, so let's do this. That really is what it came down to, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good place to be in, where people are just doing it because there's nothing else to do. Now, as I said, what I would have done was basically take it the way it was, what they did, 100%, and then add into that a Master Chief story, like overarching, that is interwoven into all that. And his goal is to set up some sort of transportation from where he is currently back to Earth to, what is her name, Dr. Halsey or whatever the fuck her name is, to try to save Cortana from the rampancy or whatever it is. And the whole purpose of that, for example, you look at what Spartan Ops is. It was, go here and defend this area while waves of bad guys come, and that was mission 1, and then go do this and set up this generator. It was little mission things. And if they had set it up where, okay, Chief has to do something like rally a beacon to get a transport to come pick him up or something, or find some sort of transport. So he goes into some temple or something, and he's doing his own thing while we, the player, are outside defending the area and holding it off from the waves of bad guys. That would have been so much better, because yeah, you're not playing Master Chief, you're playing somebody else who's helping Master Chief to help Cortana. So in other words, I care about them more than the people that I'm actually playing. And if they had done that, and ultimately got him back to Earth to save Cortana, that would have set up Halo 5, where she's seemingly back to life, but she's kind of gone evil, which, again, I dig the concept. I really do. But going from, she sacrificed herself, she's dead, assumingly, and now she's the ultra super villain in 5. There is a super huge Grand Canyon of a fuck gap between 4 and 5. And don't give me this bullshit about reading the novel. These stories have to make sense. So, okay, if there's a graphic novel, then a quick synopsis of the fucking novel should have been at the very beginning. There should have been a crawl, like a Star Wars crawl at the beginning saying, by the way, here's what happened in case you missed it. Because you can't just do that. Because the games have to stand alone, but they also have to kind of go together. Halo 4 and Halo 5 do not go together. They do not. You can't sit there and say that the transition between one to the other is flawless. Even if you stop the game, went to fucking Amazon Books or Kindle or whatever the fuck you got and read the damn thing, and then come back and play 5, it's still, no. It doesn't work that way. It just simply doesn't work that way. These games have to be standalone but also make sense with one another, and 4 and 5 do not make sense with one another. They simply don't. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. Because 5 was odd to me because I don't want to get into 5. That's a whole other story for another day. But as I said, I would have incorporated a Master Chief story into all of it. Now, imagine the Spartan Ops story as it is, with Chief running amok, kind of doing his own, like he doesn't give a shit anymore, which would have played up into the whole Locke versus Chief, because Chief has gone rogue. Again, it would have played up the entire thing, and it would have been a beautiful transition from 4 to 5. Now, okay, if you didn't play Spartan Ops and you go 4 to 5, that's on you. But again, this idea that I have to go to Destiny lore on a fucking website somewhere to understand what the hell's going on in the story, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. It's great that it's there for those who want to seek it out, but if I'm playing a game and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing because the game doesn't tell me in-game at the moment, that's a problem. That's simply a problem. Because what these accompanying apps and books and novels and whatnot should do is they should take the concept that is there, which should be given to the player as they play, and it should expound upon them and expand the lore of what is going on. So, okay, Master Chief went from where he ended in 4, he went, did something, blah, 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 and then Cortana, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but if I want that full story, I have to go read the book. But if I'm just playing the games, I get an idea of what happened. Again, Halo 2 to Halo 3. That's how you do it, because the story has to flow, and it just simply doesn't. It stops. There's a kick right in the nuts between 4 and 5. And the idea that I have to go out and buy extra media and extra content and stuff, that's bullshit. So, what I actually wouldn't mind seeing for the next Halo is if they're going to do, let's say, a graphic novel or a comic book or something, why not do a digital copy of that on the disc? You just call it up, you read it if you want, and it shouldn't be mandatory to read. Like, that novel should not have been mandatory to read. It just shouldn't have been. The story itself should explain what's going on. The game itself should be standalone and tell the story. And they failed at telling the story because they relied on a book that is outside of the base media. And I'm sorry, that's just not cool. Because if you're going to do that, you have to do it properly. And that is not how you do it properly. Now, yeah, if you're a super fan, okay, sure, I've read all the books, I read all the comic books, blah, 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 I got all the figures, I shoved a fucking Master Chief doll up my ass, there's a bobblehead up there too. You know, okay, fine, that makes sense. But just your average Xbox player who just plays video games, they're not going to know what the hell happened. You know? Now, when I went into Halo 5, I didn't realize I had to read a fucking book. What is this, required reading bullshit? I didn't know. I didn't understand. I didn't know that. So, when I find out what happened, it's like, what the fuck is this shit? That's not where Halo 4 left off. Now, imagine if at the end of Halo 2, Chief's like, I'm going to finish the fight. Oh, okay, the next thing you know, he's in Timbuktu somewhere out in the middle of the galaxy getting raped by the Thrall. Or the, whatever the fuck they are. That's Destiny. Whatever. Covenant, that's who it is. Covenant. Now, that would be bullshit because, okay, he's in Earth orbit. He's on a ship. And now he's somewhere else. That's bullshit. And notice they didn't go with bullshit. They went with him standing in the frickin' thing saying, we're going to finish the fight, to he's falling to Earth. Now, if you didn't read the books or the comics or whatever it is, you just assume, okay, he blew up the ship and he jumped, or whatever. You can assume what happened. If you want the actual story, you go and read the actual story. And again, that story should be a story in and of itself. It should be a standalone novel, or graphic novel, whatever, comic book, whatever, that tells a story from point A to point B to point Z, basically, from A to Z. So it's a standalone story that tells the story of a standalone story that is a progressive story. You know, it goes from whatever. You know. But again, let's look at Star Wars. You could take out 2/3 of that Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. You could take out 2/3 of that movie, and it still A, doesn't matter, and B, you could live with it. Again, the first 5 minutes, and then when Vader shows up. Anything in between all that, all the bullshit, nobody cares. It's irrelevant. That part of the movie, actually, I found the most boring part. I actually fell asleep through it. I thought it was so boring. And then Vader shows up, and it was like, okay, this is cool again. And again, I'm not knocking Rogue One. I actually kind of enjoyed it, and I like it for what it is. I like the fact that they didn't have to make the story, but they chose to do it. And if you care about, you know, the deeper lore, then yeah, you want to watch that. So like the next time I watch Star Wars, I will watch 1, 2, 3, or whatever. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 2, 3, Rogue, and then 4. It's not, whatever. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, it has to be. Whatever. To get my point, I'll read the whole, or I'll watch the whole thing back to back. I will skip 8 because 8's fucking garbage. Fuck you. Last Jedi can go kiss a dick. Fucking Rian Johnson's a fucking imbecilic fuck who don't know how to tell a decent story. Again, you want to talk about throwaway story? You got at least 30 to 40 minutes of that fucking thing that was just complete pointless. It had no reason for being at all, other than to promote some stupid bullshit. Like, oh, there's slavery in the universe. Oh, boo-hoo. Oh, there's animals being abused. Oh, boo-hoo. We got the female general and the hot shot guy. He you know, he didn't trust her and blah blah blah. It's his fault. Yeah, give me a break. That's all it was. It was some political bullshit. That's why it fails. You want to tell a story? See, look, the problem there too is Star Wars was always about politics. It always was. There's hints of different wars, Vietnam for one, World War II even, Nazi concepts. Those things are there, and if you look deeper into them, they are there. They don't just come out and say, "Oh, by the way, all these stormtroopers that you see marching, they're the Nazis. They don't come out and actually have to purposely say that to you. You can take it for what it is. Or all this new bullshit that they're doing now, it's like, oh look, this is it. Oh look, we got the check box. We get to check that box. We got some Asian women. Oh, we can check that box too. Oh, there's a black guy. We can check that box. Shut the fuck up with all that garbage. No time did I sit there and say, man, Lando's black. You realize I never even acknowledged the fact that Lando's black, even to this day. I never looked at Star Wars and said, wow, they got a black guy in there. Whew. I just looked at him as part of the fucking team, as part of the cast, as part of the family. Okay, they didn't have to go through and say, oh, we got a minority in there, thank God. There was none of that bullshit. None at all. Now it's, oh, you got this one, you got that one, and blah, 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 blah. And the whole reason they're doing it is just to check off some fucking boxes for some political bullshit. Because again, you can have political bullshit in there, but you have to do it right. Again, I'll use the example that I've used in numerous clips about the X-Men. When they try to say that the X gene is the equivalent of being gay, that's bullshit, because I'm not gay. The whole point of the X-Men is that they were hated and feared by the world because of who they were. So if they were tall, they were fat, they were short, they were this, they were that, they were, minority, they were minority, actually. You could even say that. You could even say, yes, gay people as well. Gay people can relate to that. Everybody can relate to that, but the minute you put a fucking title on it, well, it's just gays. Well, I'm not gay, so I can't relate to the X-Men anymore. Fuck you on that bullshit. Anyways, I don't want to turn this into like an hour-long clip. So yeah, basically, that's how I would have changed Halo, and it would have been for the better, as I said, because Spartan Ops would have been the bridge. And again, you could still do the novel, you could still do all that, but if they had a concept of, okay, well, Chief is trying to save Cortana, like I would have had it end with him getting back to Earth and holding out the little chip that Cortana was on, the little thing, and he's standing there with Halsey or Woolsey or whatever the fuck her name is, Woozy, whatever, what's her name, Dr. Yeah, the woman who looks like Cortana. And it's like, okay, we got her there, she's safe, and then it ends, and you're like, okay, did we fix her? Did we not? And then Halo 5 picks up, and she's back, but she's now evil, because that would have been such a fucking awesome thing. You would have had a really great thing there. The transition would have been phenomenal. And even if it had nothing to do with any of that, let's say the novel, because I didn't read the novel, I'll be honest with you. If the novel has like a whole other different thing in between 4 and 5, that's fine. You can actually do that. But the fact is, it ended in a certain way where even if you don't have the full story, you can still bridge a gap. That it may not be the actual real truth, because the novel may tell another story. But again, you work to try to save her instead of, oh, she's dead, she sacrificed herself, and dun 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 dun. That's the end of the freaking thing. It's the end, and the credits roll and everything else. And then you start up Halo 5, and there's a huge gap. So even if it's a swerve where it's like, okay, we got Master Chief to Earth, she's going to help save Cortana, it's going to be beautiful. Even if that is not even the way it played out, it still would have been a better bridge between 4 and 5. Now, one of the other problems with 5 was those stupid microtransaction bullshit, loot box fucking garbage. That shit ruined that game as far as I'm concerned. Now, I wouldn't mind it if they had done it for like certain vehicles or certain like high power weapons, but there was some base weapons in there that I just didn't care about. Like, I think they put the Halo 1 pistol in there. I don't want to burn the fucking card where I use it up and it's gone. I want that as a mainstay, as part of the actual lineup of actual weapons that you can have. They took that way too excessive. Again, you want a burn card for a tank, that makes sense, because you don't want people running around with tanks all the time. So yeah, do the burn card bullshit with the tanks and the the Hornets and some of those other flying vehicles. Okay, that would have been fine. But to do it with practically every fucking weapon. Well, there's this Warthog, but this Warthog has a certain gun on it, and this one has like a laser pistol, and this has like a machine gun turret, and this one, it's just like 52 fucking different Warthogs. No. Stop that shit. I don't know, man. I miss Halo, I'll tell you that much. I really miss Halo. Anyways, I'm going to end this because this is going on even longer than I wanted. I wanted to do a quick fucking video. I want to do like a 10-minute video. This is like 3 times longer than it should be. And fuck you. Anyway, you know what? That's it. Fuck you. Fuck you. I miss Halo, and I wish Halo would be... we need to make Halo great again. That's all I got to say on that. Anyway, fuck you.